My narcissistic mother stole all my exes. She tried to do it to my fiancé, so I exposed her live at our rehearsal dinner. My own mother stole every single guy I ever fell for, just to prove I wasn't good enough to be loved. But the day she tried to do it to the man I was going to marry, she didn't just cross the line, she handed me the weapon that would burn her entire fake perfect life to the ground. If you think bad moms only exist in movies, wait until you hear what mine did. I used to think my mother just had incredibly high standards. Growing up in a quiet suburban neighborhood in Ohio, my mom, Victoria, was the woman everyone on the block envied. She was beautiful, effortlessly charming, owned a successful local interior design firm, and always looked like she belonged on the cover of a lifestyle magazine. To the outside world, she was the devoted, supportive mother of an only daughter. But behind closed doors, Victoria was an absolute monster, a pure, unadulterated narcissist. For as long as I can remember, my existence was an inconvenience to her unless I served as an extension of her ego. If I got an A, it was because she bought me the right books. If I looked nice, it was because I inherited her genes. But the second I started showing any independence, especially when it came to boys, her true nature reared its ugly, twisted head. It started when I was 16. I had my first real boyfriend, a sweet guy named Tyler from my track team. Tyler came over to study math, and I was so excited to introduce him to my mom. But the moment Victoria walked into the kitchen wearing a skin-tight dress, full makeup, and a predatory smile, the vibe in the room completely shifted. She didn't treat Tyler like her teenage daughter's boyfriend. She treated him like a target. She leaned over the kitchen island, flicked her hair, laughed a little too loudly at his stupid jokes, and constantly brushed her hand against his shoulder while offering him snacks. I was dying of embarrassment. Over the next 3 weeks, Tyler suddenly started coming over when he knew I wasn't home, claiming he was dropping off notes. Then came the day I caught them sitting way too close on the patio couch, Victoria whispering in his ear while Tyler blushed red. When I confronted her later, crying my eyes out, she just laughed, looked at me up and down and said, "Oh, honey, don't be so dramatic. I'm just teaching you a lesson. If a man can be distracted that easily, he was never yours to begin with. Besides, you really thought a guy like Tyler was genuinely interested in someone like you?" That sentence shattered something inside me. You really thought a guy like that was genuinely interested in someone like you? That became her lifetime motto. In college, when I brought home Marcus, a handsome finance major, Victoria pulled the exact same trick. She strategically wore low-cut silk robes around the house, texted him behind my back under the guise of giving him career advice, and eventually convinced him to take her out for drinks while I was working a late shift. Marcus broke up with me 2 days later, admitting he was confused because my mother made him feel more wanted than I did. She didn't even want these guys. The moment she proved to herself that she could steal them away from me, the moment she broke my heart, she would dump them, laugh about how desperate they were, and move on. To her, my love life was nothing more than a twisted game to prove her superiority over her own daughter. After Marcus, I went completely low contact. I moved 2 hours away, got a job in marketing, and built a wall around my heart. I swore I would never let her near anyone I cared about ever again. And for 4 years, it worked. Until I met Ethan. Ethan was different. He wasn't just handsome. He was kind, deeply grounded, fiercely loyal, and he loved me in a way I didn't even know was possible. He knew about my childhood trauma, though I kept the full, horrifying details of my mother's predatory behavior vague. When Ethan proposed to me on a chilly autumn evening in Chicago, I sobbed and said yes. It was the happiest moment of my life. For months, I managed to keep Ethan away from Victoria. But when wedding planning started, my father, who was a passive, beaten-down enabler wrapped around my mother's finger, begged me to involve her. "Just one dinner, sweetie," my dad pleaded over the phone. "She's your mother. She's heartbroken that she hasn't met your fiancé. Please, do this for the family." Against every gut instinct screaming inside me, I gave in. I scheduled a dinner at a high-end steakhouse. I told Ethan before we walked in, "My mom is competitive. Just be polite, but don't give her too much attention." Ethan smiled, squeezed my hand, and said, "Babe, I only have eyes for you. Don't worry." The dinner was a total disaster disguised as a formal event. Victoria showed up wearing a sleek crimson dress that looked more suited for a gala than a quiet dinner, smelling heavily of expensive perfume. The moment she met Ethan, her eyes lit up with that familiar, sickening hunger. Throughout the night, she completely ignored my dad and me. She laughed excessively at Ethan's work stories, casually drop-fed subtle insults about my cooking, my style, and my career, and kept finding excuses to touch Ethan's arm. "Oh, Ethan," she purred, swirling her wine glass. "You're so ambitious. Maya always preferred a quieter, less adventurous lifestyle. I'm honestly shocked she managed to keep up with someone as dynamic as you. Ethan, being the gentleman he is, suddenly pulled his arm away and squeezed my hand under the table. Actually, Victoria, Maya is the most brilliant, adventurous woman I've ever met. I'm the lucky one here. I saw the flash of pure rage in my mother's eyes. It was quick, but it was there. Her ego had taken a hit. In that exact second, I knew she had officially declared war. Over the next 2 months, the nightmare repeated itself, but this time on steroids. Victoria suddenly became obsessed with helping us plan the wedding. She started calling Ethan's private cell phone directly at odd hours, asking for his opinion on suits, venue locations, or asking him to help her move heavy furniture at her house while I was at work. Ethan, initially trying to be a good future son-in-law, helped her once. But then she started sending him text messages. It started subtle. "Thanks for helping today, strong guy." Then progressed to, "I cooked your favorite dinner tonight, wish you were here instead of working late," and finally devolved into late-night selfies with captions like, "Can't sleep, mate. Thinking about how lucky Maya is?" Ethan came straight to me. He handed me his phone, his face pale with disgust. "Maya, your mom is out of her mind. I didn't want to cause family drama, but it's getting terrifying." Looking at those messages, tears burned my eyes. But for the first time in my life, I didn't feel weak or heartbroken. I felt a cold, blinding rage. The scared little girl who watched her mother steal her high school sweetheart was gone. I was a grown woman, and I was done being her victim. "Do you trust me, Ethan?" I asked him. "With my life," he replied. "Then we're going to play our game. But this time, we're changing the rules." Ethan and I hatched a plan. We didn't block her. Instead, Ethan played along just enough to keep her taking the bait, but kept every single interaction strictly documented. Over the next month, Ethan saved every flirting text, every suggestive voicemail, and every late-night invitation. The climax came 3 weeks before the wedding at our formal rehearsal dinner. Victoria had invited all of our extended family, my dad's business partners, and our closest friends, about 50 people in total, to an upscale country club. She was strutting around the room like she owned the place, basking in the compliments about how generous she was for hosting the event. Near the end of the night, Victoria asked Ethan to step out to the garden patio with her to discuss a surprise gift for the bride. Ethan agreed, but before he walked out, he quietly tapped my shoulder and turned on a hidden wireless lavalier microphone pinned inside his suit jacket, connected directly to my phone and a portable Bluetooth speaker system I had set up near the DJ booth. I waited 5 minutes. Then I walked up to the microphone in the main dining room, pretending I was about to give a heartfelt thank you speech. The entire room went quiet. 50 pairs of eyes looked at me. "Thank you everyone for coming tonight," I began, my voice echoing clearly through the speakers. "Before we slice the cake, my mother, Victoria, wanted to share a very special surprise with my fiancé in the garden. And since she loves being the center of attention so much, I thought it was only fair that everyone here gets to hear it." I tapped my phone screen, connecting the live audio feed directly to the main sound system. Instantly, my mother's voice boomed through the entire country club dining room, crystal clear. "You don't have to pretend anymore, Ethan," Victoria's voice purred over the speakers. "I know you're only marrying Maya because she's safe, but a man like you needs a real woman, someone who knows how to treat you. You know I can give you a life she never could. Break off the wedding tonight. Come with me to my beach house this weekend. She'll get over it. She always does." The silence in the dining room was deafening. You could have heard a pin drop. My father's glass shattered on the floor as it slipped from his trembling hand. My aunts gasped. Victoria's high society friends looked at each other in absolute horror. Then came Ethan's voice over the speakers, loud and sharp. "Victoria, you are sick. You are a bitter, jealous woman who can't stand seeing her own daughter happy. I love Maya with all my heart, and I wouldn't touch you if you were the last woman on earth. Stay the hell away from us." The patio doors flew open. Ethan walked back in, looking calm and composed, while Victoria strutted in right behind him, clearly oblivious that her microphone had been live. She opened her mouth to say something fake, but then she looked at the crowd. 50 people were staring at her with pure disgust and contempt. My father stood up, his face red with rage and humiliation. For the first time in 30 years, he walked right up to her, looked her dead in the eye, and said, "We are getting a divorce. Get out of my sight." Victoria looked at my dad, then looked at the speakers, and finally looked at me. The color completely drained from her face. Her mask of perfection shattered into a million pieces right there in front of everyone she had ever tried to impress. She tried to speak, to lie, to spin it. "It's a misunderstanding. She orchestrated this." But nobody was buying it. The proof was undeniable. She turned and literally ran out of the venue, sobbing in shame, high heels clicking frantically against the marble floor. 3 weeks later, Ethan and I had the most beautiful, peaceful wedding imaginable. My dad walked me down the aisle, tearful but looking lighter than he had in decades. Victoria was, of course, not invited. Since that night, my mother's interior design business lost almost all its high-end local clients after word got out about her behavior. She was completely blacklisted from her social circles. She tried calling me dozens of times from different numbers, leaving hysterical messages ranging from begging for forgiveness to blaming me for ruining her life. I blocked every single one. I finally have the peace, the love, and the life I always deserved, and she has to live the rest of her life completely alone with the monster in the mirror. How does this script feel for your story channel? Let me know if you'd like me to add more specific details or extend any particular scene.